What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where in this one we're going to be talking a little bit about the game preview, right? Looking at the Chargers and what they have going on. Now, as I'm recording this video, all we have in terms of injuries is what I'm looking at for Wednesday and Thursday, right? Because I work pretty much every Friday night. Generally, this is what we have every week, just in case you don't usually watch these. But we will, of course, update injuries on Saturday when I'm able to. But for what we're looking at right now, I want to go through the injuries, and then we'll go into the rest of the preview and what we're looking at. So, of the things that changed, Keenan Allen had a rest day on Wednesday. He's back at practice. Joe Alt, pretty major update here. Didn't practice on Wednesday. He was limited on Thursday. From what I saw, Chargers weren't in pads. Nobody in shoulder pads and nobody in full pads or anything. So he was a limited participant. Did see a video of him hitting the sled and doing a drill on the sled. We'll see what happens in Friday's practice and how that designation goes. But seemingly, he had his ankle taped up. Unfortunately, seems like Joe Alt probably going to be good to go. Was hoping he was going to miss another game. That would have been huge for us. When he got hurt, always kind of had a fear that the Colts would be the game he comes back. Seems like that will be the case. I'm going to just assume he's going to be playing, which, again, highly unfortunate. But good news there is that he plays on the right side. Right, so he's playing on the side that, Quiddy's going to be on, not on the side that Latu's on, which for all intents and purposes could be good for us. Now, Latu does get chipped a lot, double team from tight ends, chip from running backs and whatnot. They're really trying to take him and Buck out of the game. Buck gets double teamed almost every play. And then with all the double teams and chips on Latu, a lot of people talking about Latu and the ineffectiveness. Right. There's really just no consistency with our pass rush. We'll talk about here in a few. But Joe Alt back at practice. Bradley Bozeman, who I believe got replaced at center for the Chargers this past week, did not practice on Thursday with an illness. Then as we go, Darius Davis, once again limited. He's a wide receiver. Linebacker Troy Dye did not practice again. Dayon Henley with a groin, limited participant both days. Derwin James. Limited on Wednesday with a bit of a rest, but did end up practicing fully on Thursday. So as expected, seems like he's good to go. Quentin Johnston, limited again. And as he continues to stack days, I did look. He was limited last week and ended up not playing. So we'll see what happens Friday. Does he carry an injury designation? Also just going to proceed under the assumption that he's going to play. If that changes, great. But just going to assume he's playing. Kyle Kennard with the knee injury. Linebacker, full participant both days. Khalil Mack, limited both days with an elbow. We'll see if he's able to play. I thought that injury would keep him out even longer. This is another situation. Like if he comes back against the Colts, like come on, man. But seems like we're trending in that way. Gonna hold my breath on that one. Not entirely sure. That was a pretty nasty injury, so we'll see what happens there. Scott Matlock, defensive tackle, he's good to go. Elijah Molden, cornerback, thumb, he has not practiced in either day this week. Denzel Perriman, middle linebacker, he's practiced both days. Trey Pipkins, the left tackle, side that Latu's going to be on. Left tackle, and of course Latu playing on the right side of the defense usually. On that side, he's been out both days with a knee injury, so trending toward not playing. And then Jameer Salyer, guard, knee injury, limited participant both days. So with the Chargers, definitely some major updates there for them. And then for the Colts, nothing changes from one day to the next. The only thing that changes is Grover Stewart getting his rest day. But Josh Downs, Ashton Doolin, Tyler Goodson, and Charvarius Ward all not practicing. So it looks like we could be without them. Kenny Moore, limited participant both days in practice. And we'll see what happens there. I feel like probably not going to play. But Of course, with the way things are going, like it'd be better to have him out there. But if there's, any chance of re-injury still, with what we're looking at, obviously they'll do scans and continue to monitor that. If he's good to go, that's great. But if not, then of course going to be a tough day at the office. And then Braden Smith had his rest day. He was a full participant on Thursday. And then Alec Pierce with his ankle injury, full participant both days, and he should be good to go. So as we look forward to what the Colts are going to have to do to try to win this game, right? Everything coming into it, like, again, both sides dealing with injuries. But as we look at it, the Chargers seemingly starting to get a little bit healthier. Now, I do think Elijah Molden, the cornerback with the thumb injury, with him not practicing, does he have to practice to play is an interesting question. But he is their starting free safety. So even though, which is interesting, as I look at their depth chart, it says free safety. But looking at the injury report, he's listed as a cornerback, so that's interesting. But nonetheless, somebody in their secondary that could end up being out in this game. But they obviously have Kamani Vidal on their offense, stepping in for Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris, Hassan Haskins as well. But Kamani Vidal is listed as running back 1. He went off this past week against the Dolphins. And so this is going to be a dangerous game. Like, this is a dangerous team for us to go up against. And in the situation that we're in, like, I'm recording this very shortly after the Steelers just lost. The Colts currently the only 5-win team. And now we're in a position where essentially the winner of this game is probably going to be the 1 seed. Right, so this is going to be a big deal for both of these teams as we come into this, and both of these teams have plenty to play for. So you can expect the Chargers to be very, very motivated as we come into this. And as I sit here in Babylon, as I try to get to the page I want to get to, we have the Steelers now currently, because they lost an in-conference game, they are now currently the 3 seed. As other teams have not played this week yet. They're the 3 seed, as they're still on top of their division. But Chargers are now the 2 seed. So the number 1 and number 2 seed in the AFC going up against each other. 5-1 Colts, 4-2 Chargers. Winner of this game going to be at the top of the AFC at the end of the week, because the Patriots have also lost 2 games in the conference. So, whoever wins this game will have the number 1 seed. That's exactly what I wanted to see. And what this is really going to come down to is with what the Colts have going on defense. Will they change the approach on offense, where as we've come into these games, every single game, throw a lot, which Shane, as he did his introductory press conference for the Colts when we got him as a coach, said we're going to throw to score, run to win. This season, we've been doing that. We've been throwing in the first half and putting up points, and then we run in the second half, continue to put up points, but really start to beat teams down and go and win the game. That's been the formula. So as we come in, will we keep that same formula with what we have going on defense? Right? You're presumably, once again, going to be down Charvarius Ward. You're going to be down Kenny Moore. Right? Mekhi Blackman, I think he stepped in and he does a nice job. He hasn't been perfect, but I think he does a nice job as a number 2 corner. Right? But we're looking at this very dangerous offense, right? Again, I'm going to presume that Quentin Johnston's going to be playing. So if Johnston's playing, Keenan Allen's playing, who's still incredibly dangerous. Ladd McConkey, who really hasn't been this year what he was last year. But Keenan Allen is a Charger again. He wasn't a Charger last year, so McConkey was seeing more. Johnston was still struggling last year, so really Ladd McConkey hasn't had to do as much as he did last year. But we just saw last week, right, even having a better game than he had a lot of the year, but still a fairly quiet game until they needed it most, and they went to Ladd, and he got like a 42-yard catch. Ended up with, I think, 7 catches for 100. Let me go here real quick. 7 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. So, good day by Ladd McConkey. They have guys all over their offense. Of course, Justin Herbert at quarterback. And so, in my opinion, there are other reasons that we'll talk about in just a second, but just for that reason, a dangerous offense, you want to be able to establish the run. You want to be able to have long drives, right, where, Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman Jr. are getting the ball and just moving the chains. Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones combining to be able to run the ball and just move the chains, right? This is a game where if you can get an explosive play, sure, go get an explosive play, be able to put points on the board and better field position and all those things. Now, this is definitely a take what the defense is going to give you game and trying to keep Justin Herbert and that offense off the field, right? That's what teams have been doing to them in recent weeks, right? Now, when I look at it, the Chargers have given up 5 yards per carry and 7 rushing touchdowns this season, which just speaks to please give Jonathan Taylor the ball 30 times in this game. Daniel Jones run the ball 10-plus times. When you look back at the Giants game that they lost, and again, they've been dealing with injuries too. Every team deals with injuries. They've been dealing with injuries too, and at different times it's come back to bite them. When you look at the Chargers against the Giants, the Giants ran 42 total times as a team. Now, they only averaged 3.8 yards per carry. They had 1 rushing touchdown in that game, but they won that game 21-18. Right now, that was a game where the offensive line was very injured for the Chargers, and obviously, Giants' front is pretty damn good, to be completely honest with you. So they were able to get after Herbert. They were able to make things tough. Marion Hampton had a big run in that game, ends with 12 carries, 128, and a touchdown of his own. But they, were able to turn the ball over. They had 2 interceptions on Justin Herbert, which is huge, right? If the Colts defense can just be opportunistic enough, right, study enough this week, be able to put in a plan where they can figure out some tendencies for this offense and be able to get some interceptions, like that would be massive. An interception or two, if we can create a fumble or two and be able to get the ball right, if we can get something on special teams, that would be huge, even just better field position in different times. Whatever the case may be, right? This is a game where if we're going to win, it's going to have to be in all 3 phases, right? Like I said, the Giants ran 42 times, 161 yards, right? Then you look at the Commanders. Commanders ended up running the ball 28 times for 163 yards, 5.8 yards per pop, right? And 2 touchdowns. Then you look at the Dolphins. Dolphins offense hasn't been great. They have playmakers. We were able to stop them in week 1, but the Dolphins just haven't been great. Dolphins really should have won that game. They, forgot that Ladd McConkey exists on the last drive there. But they ran the ball 21 times. They really didn't even run that much. They ran the ball 21 times for 137 yards, which is 6.5 a pop, and Achane had 2 touchdowns. So in this one, this is one where, you have to feed Jonathan Taylor. I understand we've been running the same game plan, but, I feel like teams are catching up to the game plan. Now, Cardinals don't have a terrible defense, but it just seemed like in that first half when, we were trying to pass the ball a bunch like we have in every game, the Cardinals knew it. That it's been the game plan. It's been what we're doing. This feels like a good time to switch it up. With the way the defense is, this feels like a time where if you see something like Daniel Jones, with all the studying he does, all the film he's been watching, the way he prepares, if there's going to be multiple plays. One thing about Steichen's system, and is something that Herbert even said he had to adjust to coming into the league with Shane Steichen as his play caller, you're going up to the line of scrimmage with 2 plays. Right, so if you're going up to the line of scrimmage with 2 plays, hey, let's try to run the ball as much as we possibly can. But if you see something, if you notice something, let's switch it, hit a pass real quick, let's move the chains, and then let's run the ball. Right, I think that's the formula for the Colts. Not, hey, let's pass in the first half, run in the second half. I think this is one where you have to have a good mix of both. Take what the defense gives you and try your best to have. Right, this should be one of those games where both teams end up with, 7 drives, 8 drives, right? You don't want them to have the ball too much. with the weapons that they have. You don't want to put too much on the defense. You don't want them to be on the field too much with the weapons that they have, and what they're going to be able to do on offense, right? And at different times they've struggled, and that's a different story. You know, every team struggles from time to time. At the end of the day, it's really just about being able to execute, right? That's why it's any given Sunday in the NFL. You miss a pass by just a little bit, game could change. Right, star running back fumbles the ball, game could change. Like it's all the little things. So got to be able to do little things right. But I think keeping possession, like if we can go into this game and have multiple possessions take 7, 8, 9 minutes, and we can come away with points, whether it's 3 or 7, a couple. We're definitely going to have some touchdown drives, but just coming away every drive, if we can come away with points against what is a tough defense, right? For the rushing that they give up, this is a tough defense. They have 2 different corners in the top 8 of passer rating allowed, right? And one of them is top 2 or 3. So they do have a tough defense, right? And I believe they have Tier Tart, I believe is his name, and I believe out of interior defensive linemen, he's ranked first in the NFL of like 192 that are ranked, right? So not to say this isn't going to be easy. This is a Chargers defense that is really good, but the Colts have played some good defenses, and the Colts have been able to put up points every week. So it's really coming in, doing what you're going to be able to do, but without Josh Downs, that does make things more difficult. Without Ashton Dulin to be in there to substitute for Downs, and without Ashton Dulin being on special teams, like things do change, right? Especially Ashton Dulin as a gunner on the punt team is incredibly important for us. He's really good at it, right? So things are going to change. Amir Abdullah presumably going to have a bigger role if Dulin has to miss. So that's going to have to be figured out. But for the Colts offense, man, it's really just you got to feed Jonathan Taylor. This is a game where I wouldn't be surprised if we see some DJ Giddens get some work, because Jonathan Taylor's getting such a heavy workload throughout the game, right? In the first half, hopefully Jonathan Taylor gets 12 to 14 touches in the first half, and DJ Giddens gets sprinkled in a little bit to give him a little bit of a break so that Jonathan Taylor can keep his legs under him. Then when we get into the second half, then it's time to go, right? Especially in the fourth quarter, all Jonathan Taylor. We need the fourth quarter to be all Jonathan Taylor. We need to be able to be in the game in the fourth quarter and be hanging in there. And then defensively, it's really just about this is like it's one that's going to be frustrating to watch, because with the situation we're in, with all the injured corners we have, the inconsistency on the defensive line, right, we have a 23% pressure rate, which is top 10 in the league. There are actually some different metrics throughout the league, and actually I think I can get to it pretty quickly here on what I want to talk about. It doesn't seem like the Colts defense, specifically defensive front, is as effective as some of the stats say, but I think you'd be surprised to hear what some of these are. As I sit here and scroll, I thought I'd be able to find it. Apparently he tweets much more than I thought he did, but nonetheless, yeah, at some point I missed it. But the Colts, in terms of rushing, are like top 10 in different categories, and it doesn't seem like that watching, because it's not consistent, right? A 23% pressure rate is pretty good, right? But it's so inconsistent, right? It's like if we're not getting the quick pressure, then a quarterback has 4 or 5 seconds to scan the field, and by that point the receivers are off their routes and running around the field, losing the corner for just enough space to be able to get the ball, right? So it hasn't been consistent up front, and with the inconsistencies up front, makes things harder on the back end. And when you don't have Traveris Ward and Kenny Moore there, that it's gonna hurt, right? So this is gonna be like the ultimate bend don't break. I would assume we're gonna play a good bit of zone. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a good bit of cover 2 in this game. Cover 1, cover 2. Honestly, cover 1 even could be a little bit dangerous when you're thinking about like cover 1. You're probably running man. So if you're running man and you have cover 1, then that leaves one of the other two really good. really good receivers that could be uncovered, right? You're trying to double team Johnston, make sure he doesn't break the game open over the top, but then your safety's on the other side of the field when Keenan Allen's getting the ball and making a man miss, right? It can be dangerous. So really probably a decent bit of cover 2, cover 3. This could be a game where a lot of people are like, man, it's like watching Gus Bradley, but like Lou Anarumo just doesn't have the guys he's supposed to have to work with. So the game plan defensively is going to look a little bit different than it should. It's going to be different than what Lou Anarumo would like to do, I'm sure. But this game, it is what it is. You have to protect over the top. You can't let them break the game up, because even them, like, you want to have a bend don't break so that their offense will stay on the field and hopefully come away with 3 points. The more you can get that to happen, the better it's going to be, right? And then our offense has those, 6, 7, 8, 9-minute drives, and we come away with points as well. That's how the Colts have a chance in this game, right? And it's tough, man. As I look into it, like, I want to sit here and give a confident, like, yeah, I think the Colts are going to win, and this is going to be the score of the game, and this is why. And listen, we have the best running back in football. If we win this game, it's because we have the best running back in football. We have the best tight end in football, and Daniel Jones has been playing really good football, right? But again, we need defense at some point to make a play to change the game. At some point, we need special teams to do something that's going to help change the game. So with the injuries that the Colts have and with what we're looking at, honestly, this is a situation where, in one of the very rare cases where, I mean, there have been times, even last year, when the Colts really had no business being predicted to win anything, and I would still pick them. It's just hard for me to pick the Colts. If Joe Alt's coming back, Quentin Johnston, we're missing Ashton Doolin, Josh Downs, Kenny Moore, Charvarius Ward, all the guys we have on IR. We can't get consistent pressure off the edge. It's tough, honestly, for me to see us winning this game. I wish I could say differently. But, I do think we'll be able to put points on the board. This offense, again, we've played good defenses. We've been able to put points on the board. And so I think we'll be able to put points on the board. But this Chargers offense, especially with Quentin Johnston, it's a really good offense. The offensive line for the Chargers is the biggest thing, hey, they haven't been good. But our defensive line, again, isn't consistent enough for me to believe that they're going to be able to change the game. So at the end of the day, this is one where I could see the Chargers winning 30-27, 27-24, something in that range. Right? If the Colts won, then it would be because we made a play on defense or special teams. And we were able to win the turn. If we're able to win the turnover battle, if there are penalties in this game, that could help change the game and help put the Chargers behind the sticks, and we don't give up a 3rd and long. Then I could see a situation where the Colts are able to pull it out at the end. And either way, I think this is going to be a close game. I think both these offenses are going to be able to score. But just with the Chargers seemingly getting healthy against the Colts, I just, to be completely honest, I do feel like this is a game that the Colts are going to drop. We're not healthy enough. Every team deals with injuries and it's next man up. But the injuries that we're missing against a really good team are really going to hurt us. And it seems like they're getting Joe Alt back. Seems like they're going to be able to get Quentin Johnston back. And so that, yeah, I think the Chargers are going to win. I'm hopeful for the Colts. We're going to be watching the game, 4:05 game, another 4 o'clock game for the Colts because we're going to the West Coast, and I hope things can change. And tell you what, if the Colts are able to win this, like a lot of people have been talking the last couple of days about, the Colts, because some Giants fan on Twitter really got us started about, the Colts have been beating bad teams and they're not that good. We've been putting belt to ass against bad teams. Thank you. And, doing what great teams should. This Colts team does feel different from years past. It does. And I think a lot of us would agree. The way this season's gone, the games that we've won, how we've beat bad teams, the game against the Cardinals in years past, we lose that game, right? Like this team does feel different. And at the end of the day, this team is going to have to be, it's going to have to be different. And if we win this game, then all the people trying not to give the Colts respect, like there's nothing else you can do. There's nothing else you can say. If we're able to pull this out and we're able to win this game, there's nothing they can say about the Colts anymore. And when we get healthy, we win this game with the injuries we have. When we finally get healthy and get the pieces back that we need, boy, watch out, because we are a problem. A problem, right? Even with not being able to rush the passer as consistently as we need to. If we're able to win this game, we're going to be a problem week in, week out, which is why I do think we have a chance to win this game. I'm not saying there's no chance. I just feel like the Chargers are going to win. But I do also think that's a little bit of PTSD from the past, right? And as I sit here thinking this Colts team is different, it makes me think we can find a way. So we'll see what happens. Again, I gave you my prediction. I'll just say 27-24. Whoever wins, whether it's the Chargers or the Colts, whoever wins, 27-24 is my prediction. I think that's fair, right? It's going to be a close game. I could see us winning. I feel like the Chargers are going to win. But whichever way it goes, close game, and I'll take 27-24 as a score prediction. You guys let me know, how do you think this game is going to go? Who do you think is going to win? What do you think the score is going to be? Please let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this game. Would definitely love to hear what you guys have to say going into this one, back into SoFi. And speaking of going back into SoFi, we do have another video coming out a little bit later about going back into SoFi, a little bit of redemption. Okay, there's a little bit of a hint. So if you enjoy the content, hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe with notifications on so you get notified when that video drops, whenever we go live, whenever we drop any content on this channel. Gonna want you guys tuned in. So again, subscribe, have notifications on. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.